You've been told that breathing is important, but you're not sure which breathing technique to use, how to perform proper breathing, or when you should even be using these techniques. Well, we're going to dive into how to assess your breathing, and we're also going to dive into 3 specific techniques that you can utilize to either upregulate or downregulate your breath, depending on what your goal is. Hi, my name is Dr. Arianne. I'm a functional medicine practitioner, doctor of physical therapy, registered dietitian, mindfulness instructor, and I'm the owner of the Movement Paradigm Integrative Health Center. And I have been talking about breathing for my entire career, and I love diving into the intricacies of your breath and really understanding at a deep level and how you can appreciate that breathing is in fact your superpower. Let's talk about the basics first. So when you are performing a true diaphragmatic breath, which is innate within us, that is how we started our lives, diaphragmatic breathing. We are going to breathe in through the nose. Super important. When we talk about mouth breathing versus nasal breathing, we want to be breathing in through the nose. Our tongue should be placed at the roof of the mouth, gently touching our top front teeth. The teeth should be ever so slightly apart. And when we breathe in, we want to be thinking about breathing up, not necessarily straight back. So I want you to try that with me, placing the tongue, breathing in, thinking of breathing up, allowing the abdomen to expand 360 degrees. So that means not just a belly breath. That means breathing into the side of the rib cage, breathing into the back of the rib cage, creating full 360 degrees of pressure, and then exhaling through the nose, allowing the abdomen to contract. I'm going to have you do that a couple more times. As you breathe in, I want you to think about breathing all the way down to the pelvic floor, so to the pelvis. If you're seated, you want to feel the pressure actually even into the chair. So you want to breathe all the way to the base of the pelvis, the pelvic floor. The pelvic floor is actually lengthening here, but we have pressure that's building up going all the way down. When you exhale, the pelvic floor is actually contracting and lifting, and then your abdominals contract, so you should feel that tightness as you exhale, and the diaphragm comes back to its resting position. So the most important thing is understanding what a basic diaphragmatic breath is, because that's how you're going to be able to influence various techniques and strategies depending on what your outcome measure is. For example, if you want to focus on something performance related, so if you are getting ready to speak, if you are getting ready to perform in an event, you need to probably up-regulate your breath. If you're getting ready to go to sleep, you want to down-regulate your breath. It's very important to understand these different techniques because that's what's going to allow you to utilize breath all of the time as your superpower. We can talk about breathing without talking about airway function. So what I want you to think about is if you find it to be very difficult to breathe in, if you feel like it's very congested, you can't breathe out of one nostril, you're not able to breathe all the way into the abdomen, you may have signs of airway dysfunction. So you could have trouble sleeping, mouth breathing, snoring. You might clench your teeth at night or grind your teeth at night. You might have jaw pain. You might have crooked teeth, a narrow palate. So there's lots of things that could be contributing. So I do suggest that if you are experiencing any of those things, you get evaluated properly. Now, if we are going to assess the breath, I'm going to take you through a couple assessments. So the first assessment is super simple. We're going to call this high-low breathing. I'm going to have you place one hand on your chest, one hand on your abdomen, and I want you to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. I'm going to do that again. And what you're assessing on yourself, now that I already gave you a little heads up of how to breathe, you're assessing to see how you're breathing. So the neck and shoulders should not be rising. So when I breathe in, if I am rising using my neck, my accessory muscles, this is what it's going to look like. Okay, so all this is tight, my chest rises up. Now, what we do want to happen is the abdomen expands fully. And the last 1/3 of the breath, the chest is going to move forward and backwards. If you're lying down, think up and down. Okay, so it's going to go this way, but it shouldn't go this way. Okay, so that's your first assessment. It's just to see how your basic diaphragmatic pattern is. The second assessment is a little bit different. This is going to be a CO2 assessment, CO2 tolerance specifically. We always think about breathing as getting more oxygen into the body. But ultimately, we need to be able to maintain CO2 in the bloodstream, and we need to actually have CO2 deliver the oxygen to the tissues. So it is very important that you are able to maintain CO2 in the bloodstream. If you've ever swam underneath water for a period of time and you get up and kind of gasping for air, or you've been hiking up a mountain and you feel like you can't quite get your breath, you maybe get a little dizzy or lightheaded, these are all signs of CO2 tolerance, okay? So what we're going to do here is no cheating. You're going to breathe in through the nose and breathe out through the nose. Normal breath. I'm going to talk through the instructions first. After that, you're going to hold your breath. So you don't have to take another inhale. You can just hold. If you want to pinch your nostrils, you can. You don't need to do that. And you're going to hold until the very, very, very first urge to breathe is. Not as long as you can, just to the very first urge to breathe. When you do that, you want to think about breathing in through the nose calmly. So if you get to that point, you feel like you're gasping for air, see if you could try to breathe in calmly, and that also means you went too far. Okay, so let's do it together. So you're going to breathe in through the nose, breathe out through the nose, hold. The very, very, very first urge to breathe, you're going to breathe in through the nose. Okay, so some of you might be still going, some of you might be with me. So when we're looking at the numbers for this, we're looking at if we're under 10 seconds, there can be considered a pretty significant breathing deficiency. If we're looking at that 10 to 20, there still can be a little bit of a moderate deficiency. We're looking at 20 to 30, getting up more towards normal. Where do we want it to be for high performance is 30 to 40. So this is a great test, objective test, to be able to say, okay, how is my breathing capacity right now? And how can I potentially improve it over time? So when we're thinking about breathing techniques, we want to think about, are we upregulating the nervous system? Are we downregulating the nervous system? The vagus nerve is going to pass right through the diaphragm. So we can create an amazing downregulatory response, our parasympathetic response with breathing techniques. So I'm going to start there because most of us need those. So if you were thinking about going to sleep and you were having trouble calming down, winding down, this would be a great technique. If you were really stressed during the day and you wanted to center yourself, ground yourself, this would be a great technique. This is called paced breathing. So the optimal range in the literature is breathing in for 5.5 seconds and breathing out for 5.5 seconds. With that said, we're going to find the best breath pattern for you. So I always recommend starting with 2 seconds in and 2 seconds out. So once again, tongue at the roof of the mouth. You're going to think about breathing up, not straight back. You are allowing the abdomen to expand. And then exhale. We'll try that again. Breathing in. Breathing out. Now, see if you can lengthen that a little bit. So let's go to 3 seconds. And maybe 4, and maybe 5. The most important thing is you have to find the rhythm of your breath that feels safe to your nervous system. As soon as you take it too far, so let's say you try to do 5.5 seconds and you can't physically breathe that way, that deeply, then that's going to put you in a sympathetic nervous system state. That's probably where you don't want to be right now. So I want you to really move into it in a safe and curious way. So starting with that low amount and then extending it as you see fit. The next breath we'll do is an up-regulating breath. So this is where we can, one, begin to improve that CO2 tolerance test, be able to really optimize breathing efficiency. You can also improve your ability to focus and be more alert. So this is great for presentations or, again, when you're thinking about your performance. So when we're doing upregulating breath, you just have to know that it's upregulating your nervous system. So when we do this, we're going to use Buteyko breathing holds. So this can be a mini breath hold. This can be a longer hold. I'm going to show you the technique and show you how to utilize this. So what we're going to do here, again, you could pinch your nose or not, it's just like our assessment. So you're going to breathe in, breathe out, and you're going to hold. This time, you can force yourself a little bit. You can challenge yourself. So you want to try to be active. So walking around, moving around as you're holding, a little bit of a distraction. And the most important part to ultimately improve this and improve your number, so remember we're thinking of that 30 to 40 seconds, is you want to make sure you can always breathe in calmly. So you never want to get to a point where you're holding, and then it's, you need to take a deep breath. You want to get to a point where you can hold it to that neural edge, and then you can breathe in calmly. So when I love to do this is if I'm walking fast or doing cardiovascular activity, I'm nasal breathing the whole time. And if afterwards I feel that need to gasp, then I will really try to use nasal breathing to regulate and calm my system down to work on recovery. This could be very, very helpful for VO2 max training as well.